Now I'm going to read what Trump said after a conversation he had with Putin. So this is the tweet. You guys, if you watched the podcast on Tuesday, I said this. Who gave Zelensky the authority to attack Russia? Especially after the minerals deal and the desire for a peace deal. There's no way he attacks 40 Russian bombers in the way that he did without having someone's backing. The answer to this question solves the riddle. So this gets 2.9 million views. Not a lot of people happy. I want to react to some of the comments that were below. So there's a lady named Kate. I believe she's probably from Ukraine. She says, it was me. I gave him the authority and millions of other Ukrainians when we elected him. Question, though, is who gave you an authority to speak nonsense? Great point. And I responded back and I told her, you're so cute. You gave him permission. Isn't that awesome? I'm sure his puppet masters are very happy with you. Have a wonderful day, sweetheart. So go to the next one, Rob, if you can. Grok asked the question, what happened here? And he says, hey, what do you think is, he says, Zelensky likely authorized the June 1st, 2025 attack on the Russian air bases as Ukraine commander-in-chief with the operation executed by the SBUs. No direct evidence shows that U.S. or NATO authorization, but general support like, can you show more, April 2025 Ukraine minerals deal may have emboldened Ukraine. The attack targeting bombers used against Ukrainian cities aligned with self-defense under international law. Controversy persists over implicit external backing. So if you go a little lower, a couple other guys kept saying things like, you know, keep going, keep going, keep going. Let's see if we can find some of these guys that came back with real harsh commentary. And by the way, I totally understand what they're saying. One guy said, if you go back, Rob, I'll explain why I said this. Permission. So why did I say permission? Rob, can you Google what countries have the strongest military power in the world? Type in top 100. Top 100 strongest military in the world, if you could. Top 100. Top 100. There you go. Watch this here, okay? If you go to top 100, not top 10, top 100 matters. Top 10 doesn't give us the answer. There's this right there. You can go to the next one, Rob. Go a little lower. Right there, that says military strength ranking. Okay. Zoom out a little bit so we can see it. Zoom in a little bit so we can see it, Rob. So number one is U.S. Who's number two?
Russia.
Okay.
Russia.
Does Russia need anyone's help to go to war? No. They have their own weapons. They're number two in the world. Okay. Does China need anyone's permission? No. Does India need anyone's permission? No.
A little bit.
Maybe not necessarily. They need support, but not necessarily. How about South Korea if they want to do anything with the other guys? UK probably needs NATO's help. Keep going lower. Keep going lower. Keep going lower. Where's Ukraine here? Keep going lower. Keep going lower. Keep going lower. Number 20.
20.
You know what Ukraine needs? Help. And by the way, when guys that say things like the following, let me tell you, isn't it impressive that Ukraine stood up against Russia? No, they didn't. Ukraine, Germany, NATO, U.S., everybody that gave them weapons got Ukraine to stand up against Russia, not Ukraine directly against Russia. This whole nonsense about the fact that Ukraine is showing so much strength, they're not. It's Ukraine, U.S., Biden, Germany, France, NATO that's showing strength, not UK alone. Can you imagine if this war was Ukraine alone and nobody gave them weapons?
Oh, it'd be over in a week.
Exactly the point.
No, yeah.
So the point is when people say, it's because our leader decided to do this. No, your leader didn't decide to do this. Your leader went around the world begging for money and weapons. And other countries empowered your leader to do what he did. Yeah. Other countries, not him. So then Trump has a phone call with Putin, and he says the following, Rob, if you can go to it. It's right after my tweet, by the way. It's right above my tweet, Rob. So if you go into the, if you don't mind going to the tweet, because I want to also point out what some people commented on the bottom of it. If you can just go back, there you go, right there. It's and I posted. I said what? Not good. So watch this. I just finished speaking with by telephone with Vladimir Putin of Russia, President Vladimir Putin. The call lasted approximately 1 hour and 15 minutes. We discussed the attack on Russia's docked airplanes by Ukraine, and also various other attacks that have been taking place by both sides. It was a good conversation, but not a conversation that will lead to immediate peace. President Putin did say, and very strongly, that he will have to respond to a recent attack on the airfields. We also discussed Iran and the fact that time is running out of Iran's decision pertaining nuclear weapons, which must be quickly made quickly. I stated to President Putin that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And on this, I believe that we were in agreement. President Putin suggested that he will participate in the discussions with Iran and that he could perhaps be helpful in getting this brought to a rapid conclusion. It is my opinion that Iran has been slow-walking their decision on this very important matter, and we will need a definitive answer in a very short period of time. So I put at the top, not good. Go to the bottom, Rob, on one of the comments. Somebody said, you scared? And my comment was, concern for innocent families who live in Russia and Ukraine. This isn't good for anybody, by the way. Right. This could get very ugly, very nasty for a lot of people. Trust me, you don't want that. if you live in Russia. You don't want that if you live in Ukraine. You don't want that if you live in America. You don't want that if you live in the Middle East. You don't want that if you're part of NATO, UK, any of those guys. Nobody wants this. But it looks like something's about to happen. So my thoughts. Question I want to ask you is the following. Adam, Tom, Vinny, do you think, because there was an element of, when I said if the president doesn't respond back, they knew that this was going to happen, okay?
Meaning Trump.
Meaning Trump had intel. Now I'm still convinced they had intel that this was going to happen. I'm convinced they knew this was going to take place.
You think Trump knew that this
I'm convinced that they knew this was going to take place, okay? The 40 bombers that they attacked Ukraine. I'm convinced they knew about that because whose weapons are they using to attack them anyway? It's not like it's Ukrainian technology. They're buying it from somebody. So I'm convinced they knew. But the question is, do you think President Trump posting on X what Putin said that they're going to be attacking Ukraine, do you think that's a good thing? Do you think he asked Putin, are you okay if I publicly announce this? Do you think Putin knew he was going to post this publicly? What do you think about that? And at this point, since it's been 48 hours since this moment here, has your position changed? Has anything changed? With new stories, Tom, where are you at with this?
I still think number 6 and 7 on the military strength chart, the UK and France were the ones that gave the nod on this. I believe that because when that whole debacle broke down in the Oval Office and the screaming match with J.D. Vance and everything, and we said, we will not be your backstop, because he said, I'm only signing the minerals deal if you agree to be the backstop, which effectively puts Ukraine in NATO, right, Vinny?
Yep.
And he said, no, we're not going to do that. I'm not going to put American lives and American technology in a direct war with Russia, because 5 minutes after you leave here, you're going to do a skirmish. And if I'm your backstop, now I'm technically at war with Russia, and I'm already at a proxy war through my military defense complex. He keeps shipping things. So where did he go? Starmer, Macron. And we saw him walking there. They embraced him. Remember, 2 days later, he's over there. Oh, I'm so sorry about the Oval Office. We're with you, and we're giving you money, and it's going to be a loan. Part of it's a loan. I still believe that the UK and France want the war with Ukraine to push Russia back, and I believe they were part of the green light on this because they split with the U.S. on the foreign policy after that meeting in the Oval Office. That's what I think.
Adam, your thoughts?
So the question is, who gave Zelensky the authority to do this attack, right?
That's one of the parts. The other one is publicly announcing, which Tom didn't cover, the fact that, do you think it's a good move to publicize a world leader you're trying to negotiate with their next moves? Do you think that permission was asked? Do you think that's a good thing? And do you have any other thoughts on this, on what's evolved the last 48 hours?
So this negotiation, right? So Trump is famous for writing what book? The Art of the Deal. So what I want to know is what's going on is what are the terms of this deal? I'm pretty certain about a few things, and you tell me if I'm wrong. Pretty sure that Putin is the bad guy, despite a lot of people not liking Zelensky. I'm pretty sure that Zelensky has been sort of a puppet, whether that's by NATO, whether that's by the EU, whether that's by the United States. I'm pretty sure that without our help, he'd be a goner, and so would Ukraine. But I know this one thing. Follow the money, right? The whole conversation about NATO was every country has to do what? Put in 2% of their GDP. Is that right, Tom? 2%. Yes or no?
Some more, some less. I think U.S. is at 3.2%.
No. Yeah, you're right. What you're supposed to do is 2%. But who's putting in more? This is my point.
Us.
Look at all the countries who have the most to lose or are the most concerned about Russia. Poland, our friend, what's his name?
Dominic
Tarzinski.
Yes.
They're putting in 4.2%. That's the most in the world. They're next up in Russia. If Russia does want to dominate Europe. Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, all well above 2% in the 3 to 4% range. Germany, UK, France, Denmark, even Turkey, all in the 2% range. Then you have countries like Canada, Italy, Spain, not paying their fair share. Here's the deal. These countries would not be spending this much money on their defense if this wasn't a massive concern. So I know in America here, we actually tend not to give two shits about Ukraine these days, but the people in Europe do.
I don't think that's the case, Adam.
I think
half
the American
of America
people
is
are
still
over this.
No. I think you would be amazed what a big faction of America still supports Ukraine and hates Russia.
I don't see one college protest. I don't see one Ukraine pin. I don't see one. I see gays for Gaza everywhere. I see nothing about Ukraine.
Don't confuse those two. Do I think Americans are burned out with this nonsense Ukraine-Russia thing? Yes. Do I think Americans are sitting there siding with Putin? No. I think a lot of academia, I think a lot of college, I think a lot of mainstream media, I think a lot, and by the way, I think a percentage of conservatives even are still siding with Zelensky. I think they are.
Why wouldn't they be?
What do you mean, why wouldn't they be?
No,
it's not why wouldn't they be.
Yeah.
I'm only addressing that you said people don't like Zelensky in America.
I think people are over the begging, but...
And the money that we've given?
If you had to say, who's the bad guy here? Is it Ukraine or is it Russia? I mean, my instincts are saying, no, it's Putin. Putin is the most dictatorial leader in all of Europe. In all of Europe. Yeah. They're the most corrupt country in all of Europe. What country has aspirations for, I don't know if it's global domination, but at least European domination? This whole, Reagan would be turning in his grave if he heard that Republicans were all of a sudden siding with Russia and Putin over Democratic allies. There's a very weird schism going on here. And when Trump dressed him down and disrespected him, which I was an advocate of, in the Oval Office, did he write him off and never talk to him again? Or did 2 weeks later, did he meet with him and work out a mineral deal? So as annoying and as, I guess, feminine as Zelensky is, he's still our ally, and Putin is not.
I don't think that's what a lot of conservatives are siding with Putin or not. I think
conservatives are completely confused.
I don't think they are. I think conservatives want the war to end.
We all want the war to end, don't we?
But guess what? So Zelensky, you shoot down 40 bombers. You don't want the war to end.
Of course not.
So if you're claiming you want peace, and you're saying this is an 18-month plan that you're executing, you never wanted peace. So don't act like you wanted peace.
I can't get in the mind of Zelensky, but I don't think Putin wants peace. So, but it's not like Zelensky did this in an echo chamber. A week before, Trump called Putin crazy because in the middle of peace negotiations, Putin started bombing Kiev. So if I punch you and you punch me and I punch you and you punch me and then I punch you again, am I going to get mad?
But watch what you just said right there.
Sure.
What you just said is you said conservatives are defending Putin. Trump just called Putin crazy.
I'm not putting Trump as a conservative in the same category.
All I'm saying to you is
Trump's an independent.
No, what I'm saying to you is no matter what you talk about on the conservative side or Trump side, what they want is this thing to be done. This thing to be done. But if this keeps going back and forth, we do a minerals deal, you attack back, you don't want to have the meeting, you're playing the games, yeah, this is going to continue. So for me, I'm sitting here saying, I don't know, do you really think Zelensky wants the war to be done? Do you think Zelensky wants the war to be done?
That's a good question. I mean, my initial gut reaction is like, yes, of course.
You think so?
But I understand the way that you frame that question, that it's possibly a situation where he wants to prolong it to do what?
But have you ever?
What would he benefit? That's a good question you're asking.
I don't know.
How would he benefit by continuing the war and having his people die?
How many people don't want the Ukraine-Russia war to be done?
I think there's a lot of people in the military-industrial complex that would love to see this continue.
You just killed and think about it. Umberto made a good point yesterday on Unusuals. This delayed retaliation from Putin is really weird. He normally, it's like you hit back. This is completely out of his character. And I'm going to take just a quick, because Pat, I don't think Putin knows that Trump was going to post, hey, we talked. He said he's going to hit y'all. Hey, Ukraine, get ready. But, we had a good conversation, but he's still going to attack you. I don't think as Putin, being who Putin is, he's going to be cool with that. And then you have Zelensky coming on camera, what was it, last night, going, hey, I want to talk ceasefire now. Now he wants to talk about it. And let's not forget, by the way, Adam, and everybody, everybody was taught. Listen, we know who Putin is. Okay, he kills people that go against him. Let's not compare.
Yeah, no big deal. We know who he is. It's fine.
Adam,
Just
the
a
country
dictator
that,
and autocrat. It's not a big deal.
Adam, the country that you live in. You know, George Bush. You know what he did? He started an illegal war, and 1 million people died. So if we're gonna compare who's bad, let's not play that game.
Putin, George Bush, same thing.
Oh yeah. Now Adam, that's a whole nother thing that, trust me, you don't want to get involved with me because you won't win that conversation. You won't win that argument. Do you think George Bush Jr. Belongs in prison for what he did
I think
with
he's
Iraq?
been the worst president of my lifetime.
He killed.
But a president in the United States doesn't go to prison. But go ahead.
And you don't want to
But
go there.
Putin, it's not a big deal. Go ahead.
1 million people, Iraq. I had friends that died. Yeah, Adam, you don't care about that.
Number one, tough guy. I didn't say any of that. So if you
You
want to use
can't
sarcasm,
compare. You cannot
If you want to
co-
use sarcasm to say that I'm
Adam,
defending George
you
W.
were
Bush,
taught-
try again.
You were taught, Adam. How many times have you been wrong? Hillary Clinton, Biden. Could you be wrong in this situation that
Vinny,
we were taught to hate Putin
Vinny,
because? Well, Adam,
We're all wrong. This is why we say, in my opinion.
Okay, here's my question
But
to you.
but
how did this war
specialize
start?
in being wrong and loud. That's the difference.
How am I, tell me how I'm wrong. Go ahead. How am I wrong?
Are you trying to tell me that you've never been wrong?
No, I'm asking you specifically, how am I wrong? You and the loser American people that wear a Ukraine pin, you were duped. They were all duped because remember you were here sitting here with Kate Collins, whatever the English girl. We were giving billions and billions. We're at $150 billion given to this idiot. I don't want to give them any money, but how did this war start? How did this war start and when did it start? Under Biden, especially when he came out and goes, you know what? If Russia does a small little bombing, we're not going to get pissed off.
Border incursion.
All right, so help us out here. What's your point?
This is my point, Adam. This country, all these people, the Lindsey Grahams, all the Mike Pompeos, they want war.
The war
We are
hawks.
a war-like country. We've been at war since God knows when, all right? And anytime people wanted to stop war, what happens? The last president before Trump, who Trump did get shot in the head, before Trump, which president didn't want us to go to war and his head got blown off in front of his wife and in front of the whole freaking world? Okay? That's what happens. That guy, Zelensky, is a freaking puppet, and we've built his ass up to be this man of honor. You know what happens in Ukraine, Adam? Conscription? They're running up to people, grabbing husbands and shit, and putting them in cars to go fight a war. Okay? His own people don't like him, all right? It's a money laundering scheme, and now you're messing with Putin, who does have nukes, and then he has all these people backing him, and it's an ugly situation. I'm not saying Putin's not a bad guy, but Adam, we pushed this guy to start this shit because they kept. What happened with NATO? He said, "Stop coming in. We promise we're not gonna keep advancing into NATO. Not 1 inch. Niet means niet. You remember that?
Let me just niet you
Putin
for a
should
second.
have
As much as you're defending Putin,
shouldn't have started this, but
as much
Putin
as you're
was provoked. We knew exactly what he was going to do, and we poked him.
Okay, fair enough. Not a
so
bad
you
point.
poked him and he started shit.
So-
Okay, now and you expect him
So
not to?
what
And
should,
the military industrial
Ukraine,
complex. War is
what
good for business. Here
what
we
should
go.
Ukraine, NATO, United States do when Ukraine was invaded? Nothing? Zero money? Zero troops? Zero aid? Is that your recommendation?
Provoking.
So when it started, you're like, yep, fuck
No,
you,
no,
Ukraine.
So wait, hold on.
What would you have done?
No, Adam, here's my thing. You provoke somebody to bomb a country. You provoke. Hold on. You provoke a war. Of course, you have to help them because all the money and all the defense contractors are American.
So of course you have to help them.
You have to, but you started it, so we're effed either way.
So all I'm doing is hearing you explaining and just running in circles. Do you have any solutions?
How about it should never have started? Because
Okay,
now
great.
what?
Do you have any solutions?
Yeah, Adam, I don't want any support for these guys in fighting. What Trump is doing is what he's supposed to do. Stop the freaking fighting. Okay, and he's trying. He's calling one of them crazy. You think he respects this guy too? Zelensky's a puppet.
So
That's all he is.
Let's
Vinny,
look back
I
to
haven't
the
heard
question.
one
I didn't answer
solution.
it. Adam, please stop. Let's look back to Pat's question. I didn't answer it, and I'll answer it here. I don't think Trump sets up his post, Pat, with anybody. I don't think he told anybody. I think he went back, thought about it, and he made his post. I think he does that, and I think that's one of his
Do you
styles
think
of
he told
negotiation.
Putin, I'm going to post this?
No, I do not. I do not think he tells anybody. I really don't think he tells anybody. I think he goes and thinks about it and says, you know what, this is what I'm going to say. Because if you hear the things he says about Powell, about this, about that, you would imagine if he goes to a consensus of advisors, there's probably a lot of people going to say, Mr. President, don't do that. But I think he goes back and says, nope, this is the way I'm going to do it. This is what I'm going to say. I'm going to go. So I don't think he cleared it with Putin or even talked about it with Putin. What do you think, Dan?
I don't think so at all. When Trump, remember when reporters even asked Trump about, hey, are you going to strike? He's like, why would I talk to you about my plans? Why would I tell you?
Yeah.
In the same situation, Pat, I want to know your opinion. Do you think Putin knew or is cool with Trump posting like, hey, we had a good conversation. Oh, but by the way, he's going to retaliate, letting them know that, like, giving them a heads up. You think he knew? You think Putin knows that this guy posted that or gave him the okay?
Look, I don't know about, like, if I'm telling you I'm going to attack and you post it without telling me that you're going to post it, I don't know. I don't know if you do that. I think you're going to say, hey, I just want to let you know, I have to tweet about this, and I'm going to put it out there because the world needs to know. And he says, no problem, do it. Okay, great. Just so you know, I'm going to say this. All right, do it. Versus you reveal the enemy's attack publicly to the world. I don't know. I don't know, the only thing that I see that the right move there is that you told him that you were going to do this. And then it's like, okay, great. Yeah, do it. I want you to say it publicly. They need to know. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Then that's what I'm going to do. They need to know that I'm going to attack to them because they cannot do something like this. Mm-hmm. No problem. I don't see it being the way that it is on the way that the decision was made. But we're going to see what's going to happen here. I mean, the reality of it is, if he said he's going to attack, by the way, the entire media, if you go on CNN's Instagram account, Rob, and, if you go on CNN, if you want to, for me, I watch both sides to see what they're saying about the story. If you go to one of the stories, let me see if I can find this or not. One of the stories was a fellow talking about that the news in Russia, they're saying publicly, influencers in Russia are saying nuke Kiev. Wow. Nuke Kiev. So imagine if influencers in America are telling the president to nuke, right? So Russians are sitting there, they're not happy with what happened, and they want retaliation. It's the last thing anybody wants. You want the market to be distracted with all this other stuff, and then boom, tensions, and then you have to get involved in. If the war gets bigger and bigger, we have to somehow, some way get involved. And that's more cost, more money, more debt, more it increasing, more us selling weapons to others that we don't even have right now because we've given so much out. No, we are, things are pretty unstable right now when it comes down to things that we have to score away. We need 3 to 4 years of just stability of building things structurally here. We don't have it right now. We don't need any kind of distractions. We already have Israel and Hamas going on. To add this on top of it, one of these two's got to stop. And neither one of them have stopped yet. It's not a good thing.
It's getting worse.
Just so you know, no, it's what I'm saying. Yeah. So, by the way, and guess what everybody on the left is saying now on Twitter?
This is it.
No, you know what they're saying? What happened to your peace president?
Yeah.
What happened to your peace president? What happened to your peace president? And that's exactly what I said the last 2 days, that they're going to use this to pin it against him to say, I thought you were going to be a peace. And this is a black eye.
But that's fair criticism.
It's not about it's fair criticism.
When you come out and you say, all right, Babe Ruth went to bat, and he's like, and he points, and basically he says he's going to hit a home run, and it's been 150 days, and you barely had a hit, then yeah, people are going to be like, what happened to the home run guy, buddy? So as much as I advocate for what Trump is doing and wants peace, he called his shot, and he struck out. Let's just call a spade here. It's been 150 plus days since he's been in office. He said he would end the war on day one, and we're further from peace than when he got elected to office. That's the brutal reality of this. And I voted for Trump, and I voted for peace, but he didn't do it, bro. So we'll see what happens here. And, I don't think Putin has any interest in concede. Okay, so let me ask you a question. What do you think are Putin's top 3 goals at this point?
Putin's top 3 goals?
Yeah, why is Putin doing this? Because I'm pretty sure if he stopped talking Ukraine would stop defending themselves and be like, all right, truce. It's not like Ukraine is trying to take over Russia. So ask the very simple question. Why is Putin doing this?
I think he's pretty public about what he wants to do.
What does he want to do?
He's pretty public about telling NATO, stop trying to force
Yep.
Ukraine to join you.
Okay,
Period.
I agree.
Period.
That's
Okay?
number one.
Number one. Number
Yep.
two, he wants to get the east side of Ukraine to say this is our land.
Okay.
Okay, that's clear. It's
Yep.
not like it's unclear about that. And I think aside from that, what else would you add to it?
So the only other thing that I would add to that, I think that you're 2 out of 3. I think the third thing, which goes back to my initial point, is I think he wants to put the band back together. I think he wants to do the USSR thing 2.0.
No.
That's what, no, not no.
You can say that,
Why do you
but
think
yeah.
Poland, Estonia, Latvia, all these countries, Lithuania, that used to be part of the USSR,
Yeah.
are doubling their defense budget?
Yeah, you should.
If they weren't concerned,
No,
they'd
you
be like,
should.
yeah, don't worry.
No, you
Don't
should.
worry about
you
it.
should do that.
So
It's
they're very
preventative.
concerned.
Yeah, it's preventative. I just don't know if that's going to be going back to USSR. You know how the oligarchs would do? Well, you know what the oligarchs of Russia would do to him if we wanted to do that? You know what they would do to him? You know what would happen over there? You don't think these guys are sitting there? In order for him to continue with his power, he needs the help of the billionaires. Do you think the billionaires are going to want him to go back to communism and the control and capitalism and business leaves and money leaves? No. He does that. He's going to lose a lot of the
I
support.
generally
that he
don't know
has.
the answer to this, but
Yeah.
I don't think he gives 2 shits about the
No, it's not-
oligarchs.
no, I think you're right that he doesn't give 2 shits. But guess what he knows? He needs him. He needs him. You think Trump gets elected without Musk?
Nope.
Yeah,
You think Trump
the
gets elected
difference is
without-
Trump needs money. Putin will take the money. He'll, your company, I own it now. Your boats, I own it now.
it's
Your riches,
to
your
an extent,
ruples,
yeah.
I own them now.
Yeah. Let's go to the next
Putin will
story.
take what the hell he wants.
Let's guys. My goal was in 30 minutes to try to solve this entire problem.
I think we did it.
I just want to
I
let
think
you
we
know.
did
I'm
it.
so
We're good.
disappointed with us, but
Yes.
we'll move on to the next story.
Vinny, I
and
have a
see-
Ukraine bid for you, buddy.
Yeah, we are
I know
definitely
exactly where you could put it too.
we are definitely moving
Oh
on.
my gosh.
Last year, we ran one of the coolest contests ever. And I thought it was going to be a basic dinner and meet and greet and all this other stuff. It turned into a massive spectacle. It was a Manek contest for 2 months for lightweight, middleweight, heavyweight, and super heavyweight. And even users got involved. And we invited the top 3. You pay your flight, hotel, all that stuff. But once you came here, we went to dinner together at Casa D'Angelo, top-notch dinner. Then we went to the cigar lounge. And it was such a great time. We stayed together till midnight. We had 6.5 hours of conversations. I'm going to show you the highlight from last year. Then I want to announce this contest for all of you guys to compete in from June to July. And the dinner will be sometime in August. Rob, play this clip. Go for it.
We just had our first Manek dinner. Let me tell you, it was so awesome because we had the dinner. It was absolutely an amazing experience. Oof. The conversations, the networking, great. There's people from all over the world. So I said, maybe I'll stick around for an hour, maybe an hour and a half. But then afterward, we came right here at the cigar lounge. I stayed till midnight. We had 6.5 hours
awesome.
of conversation.
That was
Sick.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So if you weren't there, you missed it. We wish you were there, but I'll give you one counsel. We're about to announce the next contest. Do not miss the next Manek contest. And I hope to see you there.
By the way, it was so great. Deals were done. Relationships were built. Conversations. So go download the app if you haven't yet, whether it's Apple or Google. Start Manecting. Ask questions. Nowadays, we got Ray Lewis that's officially on Manect. And was responding back to people on Manect.
Really?
By the way, Stephen A. Smith's going to get active on Manect on today or tomorrow, starting his account where people can ask Stephen A. questions.
James O'Keefe.
Anna Kasparian, James O'Keefe, Paul Saladino, Terrence Howard, Cuomo. There are so many great people. Lindy Lee is crushing it,
Killing it.
on Manect the way that it's going. And by the way, who knows who's going to be at this dinner when we host this. So if you like good conversations, if you want to come to South Florida, we're going to probably give you a tour to headquarters as well when you come down here. Then go straight to dinner. Then go straight to the cigar lounge, which is a private club, but some of you guys will have a chance to be a part of it. And by then, we have a lot of new surprises with the private club, so you'll get a chance to tour as well. So download the app, start Manecting, start competing. The update on the Leaders Bulletin will be on Manect.com. Rob, if you go to Manect.com, just go to Manect.com, and if you look at the contest, on the experts, that's how it works, okay? If you look at a lightweight right now, at the top is Dean Mason. James O'Keefe right now, second place. Then it's Luis Cancion. Go to a middleweight, Rob. Middleweight right now is John Mason. Then Lily Tam. Then it's James Murphy. Let's go to heavyweight, because everybody from heavyweight goes to super heavyweight. So it's Daniel, number 1.
Daniel.
Michael Mara, Matt Sapala. Then it's super heavyweight. is what? Super heavyweight is Lindy Lee, myself, Timothy Ryan, Oshana Tom Sauce, Dennis Punnam, and a couple other guys. By the way, the scoring will be the following. To compete the next 2 months, lightweight will have to do a minimum of 200 points. You have to be lightweight today. You can go up, but we're going to calculate your points from today. Middleweight, you have to do minimum of 400. Heavyweight is minimum 400 points, and super heavyweight has to be 1,500 points. And the users contest, go to users, Rob. A new user goes out there, 200 points you score, new users. Existing user has to be 400 points. You'll be invited to that dinner in a cigar lounge with us. Go download the app, start connecting today.
If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.